are here for Case Watch, and I'm going to be kind of specific tonight because we've been getting some questions, and so I kind of want to assist you guys with those that are asking questions from the pro se standpoint. Now, let me also give the disclaimer: we are not attorneys, nor do we want to be. Okay, I always say that because I mean that seriously. So when you are representing yourself as pro se, the first thing that you must do, you guys, and this is the problem that I'm seeing over and over and over again, you have to know your case. You have to know your case. You have to know their statutes and their codes regarding your case. Now, this is the beauty of this. Do you know that in some cases you could possibly use research data on cases that you've done in other states to learn your case? All right, that's important. That is so important to understand that. So you have to know your case and all of the rules, all of the statutes. Hi, how are you? All of the codes that are surrounding your case. Now, that's the first thing. I told you all before in another live, it's important that you get the rule book for your case. I had somebody tell me this week that one of the clerk of court said that there wasn't a rule book. Yes, there is. There's a rule book in every level, okay? And sometimes it's very hard for you to find the rule book because they kind of hide it and tuck it away behind different things on their website. So it's important that you get the rule book and you understand what the rules are of the court. Don't be alarmed and afraid about the rules of the court. That brings me to my next thing I want to tell you about before we even get started tonight. You cannot be afraid. Court is in the paperwork. I say this all the time. Court is in the paperwork. You can literally win in your paperwork and not ever set foot in a courtroom. That's why I'm telling you, it's important for you to learn. It's important for you to study. And the beauty of this, you can go back to the 1700s for court cases and bring them forward and win. For example, the court case United States versus Throckmorton, and it says fraud vitiates everything. United States versus Throckmorton, I think it was a 1871 case, if I'm not mistaken. If that, I might be wrong on that, but I think it was a court case from 1871 or the 1800s. That court case said that anytime there is fraud identified in a situation, it vitiates everything, which means it cancels out everything. You can't win if I have found fraud anywhere in a court case. So that's something that you need to remember. That's an important court case, and that has been used to win cases that involve fraud. Okay. So when I'm talking about researching your cases, I'm talking about making sure that you understand thoroughly. But now going back to the fear part, you can't be afraid. So when you are filing these papers, all of these documents, you guys, and someone gives you a call on the papers or the documents that you filed, you can't start freaking out. That's why I'm telling you, you have to know your case. You have to know what you're doing. You always have to be 3 to 4 moves ahead of what they can do. And it's easy to figure out as well. If you have filed this, right? Well, you should be thinking in a defense and offense stance. If I move here, what are the moves that they could possibly make, right? And if I do this, what are the moves that they can possibly make? You are always thinking ahead, so you are prepared for the moves that can be done upon you. That's why they call it court. It's called court because you literally are taking the ball and you're moving it to their side and then they're moving it back to you. You're going back and forth with the game. Okay. So I wanted to talk about that fear part because if you're not prepared to go into these type of battles and go into these type of battles with a fear amongst you or upon you, it's not going to work. You cannot be afraid. Okay. So The next thing I want to talk about is before you even get involved in a court case is you have to understand how are you going to keep things organized. There are several components that go to a court case that need to be organized. First of all, the things that your initial complaint. So what is your initial complaint that is kind of starting everything? Or what complaint have you been pulled into that something that was done against you? Hi, how are you? So you're looking at the initial complaint that kicked off that court case. That should be in a folder by itself because whatever was initially filed, you need that filing with all of your exhibits that were filed. Okay, that's your initial document that needs to be in a folder by itself because it's your document that is kind of starting everything. So you're going to always kind of come back to it as the starting point. The next thing you need a folder for are your exhibits. Okay, the exhibits can be in a folder by themselves. Okay, if I were you though, the initial complaint and the exhibits that go with the initial complaint, I would keep those in a folder by themselves. You want to have a folder too with just all of your exhibits. And how I did mine is I actually I organized them by the filing date. Okay, so I had a folder, and I'll explain to you why it's important to have exhibits in a folder by themselves and organized by filing. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so now you got your initial complaint that you filed or that was filed against you with all the exhibits. You want the complete filing in a folder by itself. You want a folder that has all of your exhibits by date that they were filed. Okay. And this brings me to your next organization piece. And these are things you can organize your thing any way you want. Okay. I know when they go to law school, they teach them how to organize, but a lot of them are not organized. That's why they can't ever find Jack. Okay, so it's important that you understand that. So the next organization piece you want to have, and this one is going to kind of be in a big accordion file. You want to have a folder of all of your filings, okay? That's why I told you your initial one is going to be what? That first complaint. That should be in the front. And then every date that something is filed, you want to have a big folder of that filing. Okay, that's so important because each filing is like a house by itself. Each filing is like a house by itself. So let me explain to you why I say that. So say, for instance, I did my initial complaint, let's just say June 30th. Okay, that's the complaint that kicked everything off. So I have everything in the folder for June 30th with the exhibits, everything that was filed on June 30th, which is the initial complaint. Then I came back and I filed something else, notice to the court. Let's just say a notice of some information that happened. I want the court to be notified. So I have another filing that happened July 2nd. Okay. So now I have a file with July 2nd with everything that was filed in there. You're going to keep that going. Now, let's just say, for instance, from July 2nd, the defense came back and they gave a response to my July 2nd filing or my June 30th filing. Well, I'm going to put their response inside of that same folder. And I'm also going to put any of the orders that the judge may have written in regards to anything I filed, okay, in that folder that it's pertaining to. Now, let me go back to the exhibit folder. The reason you want the exhibits by itself, because sometimes some exhibits will be in the same or be in different filings. You might have one exhibit that might be in this filing over here and this filing over here. That has happened to me a couple times. All right. So that's why I'm telling you, you want to have a place that has all of your exhibits so you can easily have access to it. So what I'm trying to teach you is organization, because what I'm seeing over and over and over again, people are messing up because they're not organized. Now, that's just one way. You can organize your case any way you want it. But do know this, you're going to have your initial complaints. You're going to have filings. You're going to have motions. You're going to have orders. You're going to have the defense response. Or if you're the plaintiff, the offense, the things that you're filing. All of these things have to be filed, and you have to make sure that you can categorize it in your mind. Because if you don't categorize it in your mind, you're going to be all over the place. All right. So I wanted to deal with that part. The next thing I want to deal with is well, first of all, to see if you guys have any questions. Do you have any questions as far as um, any cases that you're dealing with as pro se? Because remember, we're just dealing with pro se, okay? And it's I'm so happy about those that are now going pro se, because pro se right now we're seeing more and more and more wins. When I'm telling you guys, you guys are learning how to make them stand down. A lot of times they get tripped up on their own stuff, because a lot of times what I'm saying, the attorneys are simply not organized. Now, let me show you what else I'm seeing. I'm seeing judges favor attorneys when we come in pro se, even when the attorney is wrong. So this brings me to my next point. So say, for instance, you're representing yourself pro se. You know this attorney is doing stuff wrong. You know they're lying over and over and over again. The judges favor them. You can clearly see it. Remember, you guys, you can always appeal. When you appeal an order, and you have 30 days to do it, all right, but make sure you look at the rule book for your area. But when you appeal an order that a judge has done, it takes it out of their jurisdiction now, and it puts it at the appellate court. So the judge can't do anything else on that case, nothing. Now, be very, very careful, because this comes up too. Well, what if the order was done and it's telling me I have to pay something, and I asked for it to be appealed? It will be appealed, but you would have to do a stay on it as well. Okay. So we have to understand what is a stay. A stay, and anybody can research this for yourself, but a stay is pretty much telling them, I want what you said to not have any movement on it until this appellate court decides are you right or are you wrong. Okay. So that's what that is. So you can't just appeal. You have to appeal, and you have to request for it to be stayed. Okay. So that's so important. Hi, Shiloh. That's so important as well. When I'm dealing with people pro se, and we're in discussion about these cases and strategy, what I'm saying over and over and over again is it's so hard, and it's so disappointing when you're having to fight lies over and over and over again. I mean, the amount of lies that are in these court cases now that's coming down from these judges and these attorneys, it's sickening. And this is something that I have seen for over 7 to 8 years. These people are trained to lie. And I'm not lying to you. They are trained to lie. Okay? These are literally professional liars, and they all work together. I don't care what anyone says. They work together. When you come in as pro se, do believe you do not have a friend. I don't care how nice they're being to you. I don't care how they're talking to you. I don't care. It's all manipulation. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you are having to stand there by yourself, and you're having to make sure you have dotted all I's and crossed all T's. Now, let me just go back, because I have had a few judges that have been fair. Okay. I have seen that. Okay. But for the most part, and I hate to say it, I would say it, probably 90% of my experiences has been dealing with just corruption across the board. Now, do y'all have any questions or comments? Because I'm not going to be long with these case watches. I just really come on to give y'all specific information, just to try to guide you along and let you know the importance of researching, documenting, organizing yourself before you even jump into it, and understanding what to file and when to file it. And again, this is when you're coming in as the straw man. This is when you're coming in not status corrected, but you're coming in as that straw man that is moving in their courts. All right. A lot of times, if you're status corrected, you don't even have to be bothered with it at all. It just depends. But we have so many people that are pretty much dealing like with this family law. That's why I'm seeing a lot of oh God, the corruption is absurd with family law and family law court. Okay. It is absolutely, it's unbelievable. But when you begin to learn the twists and the turns, you know how to kind of navigate through those waters. All right, I don't see any questions or anything. So I will be back in 2 weeks and I will give you guys more pointers. So go ahead and do the things that I told you to do, which is organizing your case, which is researching your case. We talked about already getting that rule book. Those are the most important. Okay, those are the most important. Let me see, we do have a question. Hey, have you ever had a case where they use your proper case name in lieu of all cap? No, not ever. Nuh-uh. Absolutely not. I have never seen where they use my proper case name in lieu of. It has always been the straw man. Always. If so, how did you present yourself? I've never seen it. I've not in any of my cases have I ever seen that. Has anybody seen that, or have you seen a case like that where they use your proper case? Because to me, that's common law court. Organization is critical. It's absolutely critical. It's absolutely, and that's why I tell everybody all the time. Especially when they come and we're kind of discussing these cases and trying to help them understand their own strategy and the things that they need to research, and just trying to guide them to the right books and the right informational pieces. If a person is not organized, they will be trampled upon. And the thing about it is, a lot of times the attorneys don't even have to be organized because they're just shooting the shit anyway. Okay, a lot of times, but they know they have favoritism. They know it. They know going in there they have favoritism. That's why you have to be 3 times as sharp. Okay. All right, let's see. Yes, they sent me something in the mail with my proper case name. Well, if that's the case, then they might be trying to trick you. Okay, because that's another jurisdiction. And Pennsylvania is known for that. In fact, Eugene actually did a class, whereas he received a document in upper and lowercase for a court case. It was all in the same document. They can't send you any document with 2 jurisdictions. So I don't know if you're telling me, was it just your proper case name, or was proper case and uppercase in the same document? And when I say uppercase, this is even for their side. So if they sent you something where they're saying like the district of such and such and such in the state of Pennsylvania, and all that's uppercase, and then in that same document, you have your name that is like a sentence text where the first letter is capitalized and the rest of it's lowercase, which is the proper case. That's 2 different jurisdictions, and they know it. And you can literally just send it back to them, or just ignore it. That's 2 separate jurisdictions, so they don't even know what jurisdiction they're dealing with. All right. Anybody else have any questions, thoughts, comments? I know it's a little delay, so let's see. Oh, I've just been so, oh God, you guys. This week has been off the darn chain. Just trying to help everybody get organized. But we are doing very well, though. We are doing very well. Okay. I don't see anything else. So I'm not going to give you anything as far as the things that I want you to research today, because just knowing how you're going to organize your case, just researching your case, understanding what is the complaint. You got to kind of start there. What are you charging me with? Or what am I going after you on? So let's just say, for instance, you want to go after someone for fraud. Well, in that specific area of fraud, you need to research where are the cases that have won. So the next thing you might ask, well, how can I find that? Do you know they have something called Google Case? Okay, there is a case search in Google. All right. And so I forgot how you get there, but I'm sure you can do ChatGPT to find out how you find the cases in Google. And it's a website just for Google search for cases, just cases. Okay. And not only that, you can get a free Pacer account, and you can pull up, these are federal cases in Pacer. Even your local cities, okay, your local counties. You can't pull it up by subject, okay, but you can pull it up by actual case. They have the kind of case in the subject area, the kind of case that it is, whether it's alimony, child support, such and such and such and such. Okay, but you need to look at cases that have won and why they were able to win. You need to look at it and understand how you're going in. This is the part two that I'm seeing people mess up. You can't go in status corrected and then flip over to the public. Okay? You got to stay in your lane. So if you're going and showing up as status corrected, you got to stay that way through the whole case. You can't flip. So if you're going as status corrected, well, of course, the first thing you're going to be arguing is, do you have jurisdiction, ma'am or sir? And then don't let them pull you in with the jurisdiction questions of, well, where do you reside? Because if you're status corrected, we don't reside, we domicile. What is your address? We don't have an address if you are status corrected. None of the above, sir. Now, if you want my P.O. box, because that's how they try to pull you into jurisdiction by those questions. All right, yeah, the court is in all caps, but my name is proper case. First letter uppercase and the rest is lowercase. Yeah, there's two different jurisdictions. They don't even know what jurisdiction they're dealing with. In Pennsylvania is, if I'm not mistaken, it's Commonwealth. Okay, so it's a no. It's a no. No, first you need to explain to me what jurisdiction we're in. And first you have to understand, how are you going in though? Are you going in as status corrected, or are you going in as the straw man in that case? So that right there, that would determine how you react to this. Okay. And does it even need a reaction? Some of this stuff we really don't even need to react to. Okay, it just depends. It just depends. If we're status corrected, we are the law, and they know it. They know who we are. Okay, they know who we are, and sometimes it's just the announcement of who you are for you just to like to just back all the way off. Yeah, Commonwealth. Okay, I'm going in as status corrected. Well, that will just determine how you even address the different jurisdictions. So if you're going in as status corrected, first they have to determine if they have jurisdiction over you. And the Expatriation Act of 1861? The Expatriation Act, that states you have the choice to decide what government will rule over you. You have the choice. You have a decision. You can make that decision. So if you haven't given them the authority from the Expatriation Act, there's no more to discuss. There's no more to discuss, ma'am, judge, sir, judge. Okay. Because we don't do the your honor stuff. First, we need to talk about, I have not given you all authority. Here's my declaration. This is a British court. We know this. Everybody knows this now. And I haven't given you authority. And that's the first thing we have to discuss. And if we can't get past this jurisdiction, case dismissed. Okay. All right, you guys. Any more questions, comments? And once again, even if you have to even address it, you can address that kind of stuff just by mailing stuff in. You can make them show cause simply with a letter as status corrected. You can send back to them, please show cause that you have jurisdiction over me. I'm status corrected. Here's my paperwork. And make them show cause. Don't waste your time having to go into court. You're welcome. Is this an American U.S. law? Is what an American U.S. law? You talking about the Expatriation Act? The Expatriation Act, that's their stuff. I love it when it's their stuff. That's their stuff. That's the de factos, the Expatriation Act. That's de facto. Hey, how are you? Yeah, Evan, that's their stuff. The Expatriation Act. I love the Expatriation Act. It just shuts it down from the beginning. The thing about it is that you have to know, y'all know I say this all the time. You have to know who you are. I just put a video in the school. I just put a video in the school. I think it was earlier this week, of a lady who went in and won a court case from Bible verses because she said God was her authority and they had to prove that they had jurisdiction over her. In fact, one of these lives I did, I told y'all about merchant law, okay? And Cal Washington, how he beat him with merchant law, because these are old laws that are still on the books. So you have to, when you go in and articulate this, a lot of times these judges, they might not even know what the hell you're talking about. And they have to go back, and they have to go back and research it, right? So we have so much stuff out there that as status corrected, you should be able to slam dunk everything. But y'all know what my stuff was so, the stuff that they did with me was so corrupt that I just went in as the straw man. I said, you know what? I'm going to beat y'all with your own words. Yes, I did. And I still know who I am. But I'm going to beat you with your own stuff, with your own statuses and your status and codes, statutes and codes. Okay. All right, you guys, any more questions, comments, thoughts? Okay, let me drop the link. Let's see if anybody wants to come up, and then we're out of here. And I am going to drop the link to see if anybody wants to come up and talk with me this evening. Okay. Okay, there's the link in the chat, but we do have a question. What you're saying about authority over oneself is very thought-provoking. I believe this is in a spiritual sense. Yes, absolutely, it's a spiritual sense. And spirit beats in those courtrooms every time. But I don't see how you can use that in a legal matter. Absolutely, you can. But again, Evan, you have to know who you are when you go in. And let me just clarify this very, very clearly. Several have won in the court case just simply as God being the divine, the divinity over their life. Okay. You really have to know who you are, and not just knowing who you are. You have to believe it when you're standing on your square in these courts, looking flat-footed at a judge directly in their eye. Okay. Because they are going to challenge you. But when you know who you are and you're able to articulate it, this is why we can't have a script. You know, I had people ask me before, well, can you just write a script? I can't write a script for you. There's no way you can write a script on this, because there's so many directions that you can go on it, because you have to be in their system voluntarily. Everybody understands that, right? You volunteer to go in here. You have to volunteer. Okay. Now, sometimes people get jammed up because they don't know how to maneuver the matrix. And when I say jammed up, some people have been arrested because they get jammed up because they don't know how to maneuver through the maze, right? Or they can't catch the tricks that they're doing. They're doing tricks and laying traps all around you. You have to be able to catch each trap and each trick that they have done. And that's why first you have to decide, how are you going in? As status corrected, or are you going in as the straw man? You have to know the traps. You have to know their moves, right? And you have to be able to not know it. You have to be able to articulate it, and articulate it under no fear. Under no fear, okay? That being multifaceted is your script. 1983, Ronald Reagan declared that it was the year of the Bible. Please refer to Private Life videos. Yes. 1983, and House Joint Resolution 97-208, I believe. That tells you right there, that's their stuff. Let me look that up on my phone. I think I'm telling you guys right. House Joint Resolution 208. And, oh, thank you, Antoinette. Oh, girl. I appreciate the donation. I'm going to use that tomorrow for my lunch. Thank you so much. Okay, House Joint Resolution. I think it's 97. Let me see. H, where's the J? 97-208. Is that it? Let me see if this is it. No, that's not it. That's talking about somebody Lebanon. Okay, let me think for a minute. 97. I get all these numbers in my head. HJR. You're welcome, Evan. Let me try to get this one for you. I'm trying to remember what that HJR one is. 97. It's in the school, you guys. I can't ever remember this stuff. It's in the school though. 97 dash. I can't remember, but it's in the school. I can't remember. It's in the school though. But there's a House Joint Resolution that they did that is like a proclamation of your divinity and your sovereignty and your honor under God. And this is in their stuff. Okay. They have a Senate Joint Resolution 165 as well that talks about that. Hi, people. Don't read the Constitution, understand their codes, and don't read the Constitution is a service contract. So yeah, you have to understand what the Constitution is. The Constitutions are their service contracts. This is stuff that they're supposed to do for us. The Declaration of Independence talks about who we are, okay, to them. So yeah, and understand too, there are several constitutions. There are 3 constitutions. You're welcome. It's an honor to sow into your life. Oh, thank you so much. But I wanted to get that that 97. What is it? Maybe it's 280. Give me a second. Let me see. Maybe it was HJR 280. HJR. It's 97 dash. Is it 280? Is that the one? Yep, that's it. Oh, thank you. Let me put it in there. HJR 97-280. I had transcribed the words. There it is. There it is. That's the one right there. The United States Congressional Joint Resolution passed in 1982. And remember, as I think Antoinette just said it, that 1983 was declared the year of the Bible. Oh, they got real religious during that time. But President Ronald Reagan to designate, let me go back up. The resolution passed in 1982 that authorized and requested President Ronald Reagan to designate 1983 as the year of the Bible, recognizing the Bible's significant historical and moral influence on the United States. United States being a corporation. Okay, this resolution originally Senate Joint Resolution, there it is, I just told you, 165, sponsored by Senator William Armstrong, led to President Ronald Reagan's formal proclamation in February 1983, encouraging Americans to study the scriptures. Now, you see how they cross over there? This is how they trick us. They're telling Americans who we are, to study the scriptures, to know who we are, okay? But it's a corporation telling us this. Are y'all getting it yet? A corporation is telling Americans to learn the scripture. This is how they keep you confused and not knowing who you are, because that's two separate jurisdictions there. American is native. And we already talked about native, the difference between native and indigenous. We talked about that this morning. But Americans are native to whatever area that they were birthed, okay? Born, whatever area they were born, okay? Indigenous means you were already here. It's already yours, okay? You already have dominion over it. In this House Joint Resolution, you have the corporation telling Americans how profound the Bible is. And not only that, everything in the Bible through all of these joint resolutions and all of this information has been declared as true, as factual and true. So when you learn the scriptures, you learn who you are through the scriptures, then you learn how to take that information and articulate it, right? In the courtroom. Are you getting it? Are you understanding now? But when you talked about, whoever said that statement earlier about it's a spiritual thing, you have no idea how spiritual this is. You have no idea how spiritual this is. You have no idea how your connection to whatever you believe, because it doesn't matter whether it's Buddha, Hinduism, Islamic, Christianity. I don't care what pocket you're coming from. It doesn't matter. All of it comes from the same source. It comes from the same source. And that's the part we don't talk about. I remember when I used to do these lives, the private show lives a long time ago. And I used to always tell you guys, let's focus on the 9 months where we were in our mother's womb. Because something special was happening during that time. Something spiritual was happening during that time. And when you can remember what was happening during that time, that 9 months of gestational period in your mother's womb, where the blood was flowing, where the downloads were coming, where you were growing, and to who you are, you were given life through another being. Okay, all of this was happening. And then you come into this world, you are born into this world, and then all hell breaks loose. Literally, that's literally what happens. All hell breaks loose. The minute you're born, there is already a plan of deception. There's already a plan to take you down. Okay, there's already a plan put in effect for you to follow, so you can be manipulated. And then, God forbid, you're born into a family that's crazy. God forbid you're born into a family that is afraid of everything. God forbid you're born into a family of fakes, because now you have that to deal with. Okay. So why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this because it does, at the end of the day, it starts and it stops in understanding who you are, because that's going to determine how you show up in that courtroom. That's going to determine how you show up in your paperwork. Okay. All right, let's see. We are spirit beings having a human experience. You get to determine how you're going to move in that. Yes, you get to determine your choices. And it always goes back to your belief system. You know, I know y'all hear all the time, well, if you can see it, you can believe it, you can achieve it. That's really true. That's really true. When I started in my ordeal with these courts or what have you, in the beginning, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, because I decided to go in and tell the truth. The truth wasn't working. No one was listening to the truth. No one cared about my truth. Not only did they not care about my truth, they were creating stories. They were creating lies that were not true, that I had to defend myself on. So that's when I realized truth doesn't matter in this state that I'm in. Nobody cares about truth. It had to start in here of me knowing who I am and now going in and making a stance of, you're not going to do anything you want to do to me. You're not going to say anything you want to say to me. You will not move out of order. You are going to abide by your own rules and your own statutes and your own codes. That had to start in here of what I was not going to allow them to do anymore. And you know, when I stood on my square and I said, you will not, they did not. And they still are not. Oh, I love that. Clock it. I love when my little grandbaby say, clock it, clock it. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. All right. I think we got that one. All right, so is everybody good? Okay, nobody wanted to talk to me. Y'all gonna stop being afraid now. Y'all gonna stop being afraid. All right, you guys, I think I've talked long enough. I have. I've given y'all a good 30. Now I am going to retire for my evening because it's I just need some rest time now. I love you guys so much. Let me see now what do we have coming up? Let me just check the calendar right quick to see if I have to remind you of anything. Let me see what we have coming up in the school, because I cannot keep anything in my head anymore. Okay. Oh, good. Nothing in the school. Okay. So I will see you guys back next Friday for the Private Life Show, right? And I hope you guys are enjoying your holiday season for those who celebrate the holidays. Okay. And let me just say something on that, and then I'm going to get off of here. And I forgot who I was having this discussion with this week. As far as these holidays are concerned, I understand that some people don't celebrate the holidays, but you have to understand everything that has been done is a copy of what was already done. Everything that was done was not demonic. Everything that was done was not negative or had a negative connotation on it. They took it and they made it that way. So when we see the beautiful lights, when we see families coming together, when we see all of these holidays occurring, do know that was taken from a blueprint that was already put out there, and the blueprint was possibly manipulated. So just allow and ask the Most High to take your mind back to, what was this before they took it and manipulated? I know I see this beautiful tree. I know I see these beautiful lights, but was it something else before this? We need to start asking for our minds to go back to remember, because that was taken from us. We can't remember, and no one has told us anything. Okay? So we just need to remember. And that is what has been my prayer. Help me to remember. Show me in my dreams. Allow my spirit to go places while my body is resting. Help me to connect to my ancestors. I want to know. I want to know what it looked like before it was changed. I want to know the places that all of our stuff is hidden. I want to know. I'm nosy. I want to know. I want to understand. And so that's my plan. So for those that don't celebrate holidays, I respect you. But I want to say this. Don't put down those who do celebrate, because what we're celebrating is really, at the end of the day, the love of family, the love of the beauty of the season, because you have to admit it's beautiful, okay? Just love and peace and harmony. And a lot of us don't give a damn of what they tried to make it represent. Who gives a damn, okay? I just want to be at peace and in harmony, even if it's for just a short few weeks. And on that, we love and appreciate you, Dr. Oh, I love you too. I love you too. All right, you guys. Okay. Until next time. Bye. Oh, I'll see you back here in 2 weeks for Case Watch. Yeah, we come back every 2 weeks. So I'll see you in 2. Y'all remember that show they used to say, see you in 2 and 2? I'll see you in 2. Bye.